So part of today's projects is going to be trimming trees. This is an area that we like to have open for trucks, but because a lot of these mangoes on the side were flowering and producing fruit, we haven't trimmed this for a long time. And so one of the things we're going to do is trim a lot of this off. We have to trim further than the space that we need because, of course, the plants grow after you trim them. So we want to be able to get big trucks down here. Few fruit ready to be picked. This one, desperate squirrels got to. This is pickering, and I might as well pick the whatever fruit is here because all of these branches will be cut back. Squirrels always seem to find things before we do. But anyway, that's the first area that we're going to start trimming. Guess we can move on over here. So this area has some rather large trees. A lot of the runoff from plants that we used to have here just made these trees very happy. This is a lemon meringue, and we cut back a lot on this east side of the tree last year. We tried to get one section of the tree at a time so it doesn't shock the tree. So this is all new growth, and we'll try to probably cut part of this section out today. And then over here we have Carrie that was put on top of Joellen, and we do have a little bit of fruit left on this tree, so we'll have to check and see if that's ready to pick. But basically this is another tree that needs to be much smaller. With Carrie especially, you need to be able to look at the fruit to determine if it's ready to pick, and when it's way up in the tree it's hard to do. This is another situation where we cut back a lot of the tree last year and we need to balance it off this year. We left most of this major branch here and we would like a smaller tree. This one happens to be another lemon meringue. And this is another tree that we've converted to Carrie, and you see some fruit right up here, and from at least where I'm standing, this looks like it's ready to pick. But we'll take a closer look and probably cut this tree way back also. So what a difference a day makes. Yesterday we trimmed all sorts of branches away from this area because this is where the trucks go down the hill. So now they can go through again. There are a few branches that we left because there's some fruit on it, but most of the trimming is done. And not only did we trim on the truck side of the tree, but we trimmed on the other sides of the tree also. So let's take a look. So basically trimming back pretty darn far for all the ones going this way, but also we trimmed out some of the tallest branches because we don't want to have too much of a project for picking the fruit. So trimmed out some on both sides and some of the most vertical branches. But we try and leave as much foliage as possible so that we can get fruit next year, and also so it's not too much of a shock for the tree. So that was Namdok Mai. It's a little lemon meringue. Hickory was really growing out, so we had to trim this way back. There were branches that were so heavy that they were leaning way over. This is a Fairchild. It had gotten very vigorous. Trimmed off some of these tall branches, but also some of the longer branches in the back. It's a little seedling. It's a grafted tree. I was trying to figure out what I grafted years ago on the top, but it didn't fruit this year. So we left most of that intact. And this is Jakarta. It's a shadow of its former self, but it does have a little bit of fruit on it still, so it still has a little bit of trimming to go. It's our one of our lychees in a big pot. Obviously it's rooted into the ground, but we made it a lot smaller. The lemon meringue that really had gotten huge. We trimmed a lot last year. And this is the growth since last year. We have a cut right in here, and so it's good to keep, it's good to do this kind of thing in stages if you can, because it minimizes the sunburn on the tree and such. So this is a lot to keep it active right now, and of course we made more cuts. There's a big branch going over next to the sapodilla, had to go out. Another lemon meringue. Here's a big branch that was going into the carambola, so it's way back. And then we took out another large branch here. It's just a very vigorous tree, so it takes a lot of drastic measures when they get to this stage, but hopefully we'll be able to have some calm time before the winter, and hopefully it will fruit next year. It's just a little tree. We didn't trim anything of it because I grafted Julie on it, not going out of control except for this one branch here, but of course that's easy to do with a handsaw anytime. But the graft is here, so a lot of energy is going to this top part of the tree, and this is all Julie right here. So the lower branch is not getting as much sunlight and energy. Yeah, we'll need to trim this back. Doesn't have a very good position there. We'll do a lot of the smaller trimming another time, but we did take out some big branches that were making this tree way too tall. This one has been top worked to carry. Another top work project. Definitely a stage where the pruners can handle a lot of this. Don't want to overdo, but this is orange essence, and this other part, the grafts were blown off by Hurricane Irma, and we haven't reestablished that side. Another lemon meringue. It is a popular variety, and some big cuts, big branches that came off of this. This is Baptiste, rather compact grower, but there was one branch here that wasn't particularly healthy looking. It was alive and stuff, but just as soon trim it back. Zebda and Best. Best gets huge. We trimmed some big branches. Zebda, we just trimmed it off like this because I might top work onto some of the Zebda, so wait for some new shoots to form. Another carry. I see I'm a little late. There's one fruit that got eaten a little bit by a squirrel. I need to pick that fruit, but basically taking out a lot of the height. This was mostly chainsaw stuff yesterday, so a lot of these branches will come back and hit with a handsaw or a pruner. And last tree, another lemon meringue. So some big branches cut off here. It was going into the next mango tree, and some height cut out of it also. And as you can tell, we trimmed back a lot last year too, so we've got a lot of new growth going on here. So there's a quick look at our major project yesterday. Of course, there's always more to do. By my last estimate, I think I have between 275 and 300 trees. But the good side is these were some of the trees that required the most work, and so some of the other trees will be really quick to prune. Hopefully we'll get to every tree this year. It's always a goal.